Dude, we're live. We're going right into it. So, here with Nick Siciliano. Man, episode 1. I haven't even briefed Nick about this, and I guess I'll speak to it a bit. This podcast, it started as self-talks, just into my voice memo iPhone, just when kind of recapping a week or a month or anything special that happened. And so that was awesome letting it out. But then I'm also noticing how many times I sit down with friends, with coworkers, with family, with strangers, and I'm like, 1, this is too fun. 2, too much value out of it. 3, I would love to do this more and then share it. So this is that episode 1 with Nick, and can't wait to just talk with people who I meet, become friends with, work with, do big things with, and whoever I resonate with. Right now, it's Rise Like the Sun, so we're going to be talking about how we rise and what makes us rise and any pitfalls in life. But before we get into all that, Nick, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, I could go very deep into this. I'm not sure how far back you want me to go, but
I say... Yeah, start. So we know each other through fitness. Maybe how your fitness background came to be from childhood to now.
All right. So always big into sports. My dad was a football player at Arizona State, and so he was a huge sports guy, still is. But growing up, I was just playing absolutely everything. Whatever I could get my hands on, I was always outside. My neighbors, same age as me, and I had a couple other kids in the neighborhood, same age. We were always outside doing stuff all day long. And where I grew up in Massachusetts, very big hockey culture. So parents never wanted to spend early weekend mornings at a freezing cold hockey rink, but I just fell in love with it. There was a pond across the street from my house that was awesome to skate on in the winter. And my neighbor, who's still my best friend today, his father's from Canada. So that was a huge influence on me growing up. And then there's a hockey rink in every single town. It's so big around me. And couldn't be happier that I got into it because it's been a huge part of my life. It really brought me into fitness because I had to get into the gym to become a better hockey player. And I ended up falling in love with the gym as well. So thankful for both of those things, really, because it's what I do with my life now. I spend my mornings at the gym till early afternoon, and I spend my evenings at the rink, and it's just very awesome way to, 1, spend my days, but 2, to make a living. And I'm very thankful that, my upbringing kind of delivered me to these passions, and I've been able to do something with them.
When did you pick up that hockey stick?
So, probably picked up a hockey stick first when I was 5 or 6. I moved to the house that I grew up in the majority of my life when I was 5, and neighbors were already playing hockey, so I think 5, but didn't start actually trying to play until 8. I think when we moved there, my parents were thinking, I really hope he doesn't stick with this. Because like I said earlier, they did not want to be at a hockey rink 7 a.m. Saturday, Sunday morning, but I was just around it so much. It's such an unbelievably fun game that you couldn't get away from it. And then by the time I was 8 was when I actually tried out for a team and started playing competitively.
Gotcha. And kind of when you tried out, did you always make the team? Did you have to fight for a spot? How did that go?
So, it definitely did not make every team I tried out for.
All right.
When I first tried out, 8 years old, it was the in-town league, which isn't even a thing now around us in New York City. But back home in Massachusetts, every town is an in-town program. So my age had 2 different levels. I go to tryouts. That's when I'm very new. wasn't a great skater and made the lower team because everyone was making a team, I believe, at that point. It was
Only so many tiers to it.
Yeah. So I was on the lower team. By the time that first season ended, so probably tried out in April, May, around that time. By the time the season ended in February, I had the third most points on the team. So I was just so into it. And that was kind of the theme my next couple of years. Spent that first league in-house, then I went to a travel team. Probably wasn't the best player when I tried out, but then ended up leading that team in points. Stayed with that club another year. And it wasn't, for travel hockey, it wasn't the best team, but stayed there for 2 years. Second season, we had a really good kid come in I played with, so didn't lead the team in goals my second year, but then ended up going to a much more well-known program and played second tier there. And the program's had a ton of pros come out of there, way more college guys. Valley Junior Warriors.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Not familiar, and hockey is definitely not really my background, but we're learning here. I did go to school around those parts, so that, the Boston area, New Hampshire.
So most notable guy to come out of that program is Chris Kratter's tearing it up for the Rangers and has been for years. Yeah, so it's a pretty good program. And that's where I spent the majority of my development, spent the most years there. And looking back, every time I think about when I was playing hockey, it's just the most fun I've ever had. But building those relationships and being on a team for years and improving myself, but also growing as a person with these other guys that are still my friends today.
Dude,
it's awesome. And then that took me into high school, which was a whole new struggle with tryouts and just a different level of competitiveness.
Yeah, was your high school known for hockey? And what position did you play?
I played mostly forward, and I'll jump into that a little bit before talking about my high school years, but I played mostly forward. When I was probably 12, I jumped back on D for a little bit. I told my coach that I might want to try it out, and we needed a deal on the team. There was always a forward that was playing defense. And I thought I was pretty good at defense. Actually, even before that, my second year playing all together, last game of the season, I jumped back on defense for, I think, just the last period. And afterwards, my coach goes, if I had saw you play defense ahead of time, I would have had you playing all season. And then so fast forward a few years later, I told my coach, you need someone to play D, I'll play. But then I hated it. I think I played 4 games on defense, maybe 5. And my thing was always, I felt like I was a good defenseman, but if my team wasn't scoring, I felt like I could contribute on offense. And you don't always get that chance on defense. I think I only had 1 goal. I don't even know if I had an assist in that 5 games that I was strictly playing defense. So after that, I went back to forward, and I didn't touch defense until really pretty recently. I played in a semi-pro game. I don't even think I ended up telling you about that, but back in February, I played in actually this was end of January, I played a semi-pro game, and coach asked what position I am. I said forward, and I hear him talking to someone else, and he's saying, the player's asking, do you still need me to play defense? He says, yes, they're both forwards, talking about me and another kid who were just coming in for that game. So I go up to the coach afterwards and say, I played D a little bit. I can play D if you need me. And I ended up having a great game, 1 goal, 2 assists, and probably one of the
defense, which is not the easiest, right? Like that doesn't,
So I felt a lot more comfortable because I've been coaching the defensive players more specifically since I've been coaching hockey starting in September. So my role has more been making sure the defense know what they're doing, dealing with them, and then the other coaches dealing with the forwards. We still deal with everyone, but I felt my other coach was a forward as well going into the season. I felt like I had a much better grasp on defense. So I preferred to play center when I was playing forward because the center is responsible for the whole ice. So you're still going deep into the defensive zone, backing up the defense. You're in and around the net, and then you're going everywhere on offense too. So that's always where I preferred to play because you got the best of both worlds. But I really felt like I had a better grasp on defense than my other coach did going into the season. So I wanted to stick with the D, and then going forward next season, I'm with the new coach, but I'll be coaching the defense as well.
And this is in high school?
This is my team now that I'm
your team
coaching.
now?
But in high school, I played all forward. And
Gotcha.
I've actually thought back a lot to that recently, how I didn't have the best high school career. Back to your question earlier.
But you played in, so we'll definitely go back to that and some adversities and not good times. So, but you were still you made it to Marist College, right? And played there. How did that come about that you went?
Okay, so I've completely skipped over talking about my high school hockey. My high school was very well known.
By the way, I guess we're here at Blue Bottle in Hudson Yards. Yeah, got to give them a shout out. Awesome spot.
My high school is very well known for hockey, still is. They actually just won yesterday. They're going to semifinals sometime early next week. But one of the most prominent hockey schools, and just all around schools, all their sports are going to the state championships or getting close or winning them every year. And even their drama program's huge, and a bunch of other strong clubs. So all around, it was an all-boys Catholic high school.
Same, Seton Hall Prep.
For the most part, if you were one of the best athletes from your town that lived in the area, you were going here. So it's the best competition when you got there, and just all around great school for, like I said, from sports. So if you're a drama person, which I wasn't, but they were winning awards there as well. So all around just great school, and that was an absolute battle. I think we had 60 kids try out for the freshman team. So just freshmen for 22 skater spots, 60 kids trying out.
And if it's anything like my school, I'm assuming a lot of those freshmen came to that school with hopes of like, I'm coming here mostly to play that sport,
absolutely.
hockey, baseball, basketball, and like that tryout is huge.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So a little funny bit about before that first tryout freshman year.
Talk to me.
I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm feeling like lightheaded, I go to the bathroom, I start throwing up.
When was this? The night before?
Night before tryouts freshman year.
Little jitters.
At the time, and probably took me a couple years after that to really think that it was jitters, but you're like nerves.
Well, what was it?
We had salmon that night, and you know, salmon you can eat raw. And now I prefer, if I'm making salmon for myself, I'm not cooking it all the way through. I just prefer that taste. But at the time, I didn't. And thinking back, the salmon was still very cooked at my dad. It was definitely safe to eat. But I was trying to attribute it to my dad giving me raw salmon. And so I throw up, and then I go back to my room, and I passed out in the hallway of like my house on my way back to my room. My mom comes out, she's like there with me. I end up making it to my bed and then going to school the next day because I had no choice. But I definitely wasn't feeling 100% for that tryout. But looking back, definitely nerves and not.
Man, look, you made the team. Dad, if you watch this video, you have another point of view on the story, you let us know. Oh, man.
Made the freshman team then, which I was really hoping for something more, but it was a great step up, and actually one of the best coaches I've ever played for. Probably the best, actually, was that freshman coach.
Wow, what's his name?
John Zimney. Yeah, very successful coach in the North Shore of Massachusetts. Won a lot of state championships. He used to be the varsity coach.
Awesome.
And learned so much that season, for sure.
And if anyone comes across this video in the Massachusetts area looking to play hockey in New York, in Massachusetts, right? Think about this coach, heard of this high school, you know who to reach out to, leave it in the comments. Yep. And now college, Marist College.
Yeah, so I went to college straight from high school, which is a little bit uncommon. a lot of hockey players end up doing a post-grad year or years of juniors.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I played with a lot of kids that were 20, 21-year-old freshmen. And that was always my plan, do a year or two of juniors. And like I said earlier, I didn't have the best high school season. I didn't have any colleges come and talk to me, but a lot of kids don't. It's not easy. There are fewer D1 hockey schools than the other big football, baseball, basketball. So it's not easy. And still was playing juniors, which is just play travel hockey year round until I think probably halfway through my senior year. And I was just applying to schools for if I'm going to end up playing juniors, like these are pretty solid hockey schools that I might go to. After playing juniors, I'll throw out apps now, we'll see what happens. And my sister actually went to Marist because they got a great fashion program. And I applied there. She went, maybe I'll get more money, whatever. But when she went, I said, I'm never going there. They don't have the best hockey team compared to the other places I'm looking at. I don't want to go there. And then decided I didn't want to play juniors, which, I'm very glad I did now because I was never a big school person. I'd still be in school right now. I'd be in my senior year, junior year right now if I did that. And yeah, I'd be playing at a higher level of hockey when I was in college, but...
What is some advice you would give for someone, because that's a decision. There are prep schools in basketball, in baseball. I mean, I went the same route. I could have went to a prep school, and now that I think about it, yes, people do. I don't know if maybe it seems what I'm getting from you, it's way more of a norm to kind of do it with hockey.
Absolutely.
So that's a big decision. What would you say to that senior in high school what are some factors like as far as talent level, like should you work on if you want to work on your game, you go to like a prep school what would your advice be?
So I think it all depends on where you want to end up post-college. So if your thought is I want to play professional hockey somewhere, obviously the NHL, it's the highest level you can play in, but a lot of people go to Europe to play. Those are going to be guys that are going to want to play Division I hockey. So you're going to need to play juniors. There's no question about it. Unless you're the top of the top, which does happen. Best players go in at 18 and they can light it up. But those are the players that are going to be in the NHL for many years. And then next level after that is players that kind of want to play a lower level or semi-pro, which is still a lot of lower D1 guys don't even make it to Europe or to the National Hockey League. So I think for the people one step below that are looking at D3, D2 schools and don't think they're going to make hockey a career, try to find a school that you really like. Because I know a lot of kids that went to the schools that I was looking at for hockey, and I don't think that they would have been the best fit for me.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure, at least halfway through my senior year, maybe my mind changed towards the end of my senior year, but at least halfway through my senior year, I didn't know if Marist was even the right fit for me. But looking back, I think it was an awesome fit for me, and I'm very glad I went. But so for those seniors in high school, I would say find a school that's a good fit for you, unless you're one of those guys that's trying to play for years after college, some professional level. Then you might have to make some sacrifices because that's what you got to do to play the most competitive hockey.
Gotcha. What made you go with Marist? What made that decision?
There really wasn't the decision to make if I wasn't playing juniors, because compared to the other schools I applied to, I would have had to play juniors to play hockey there, and they weren't the best academic schools. They weren't the best fit for me. And I heard a lot about Marist from my sister. Went up and visited her several times. Beautiful campus and good social aspects. I think a big draw for me was their hockey houses. There were 2 hockey houses every single year, and it was an absolute blast living with your teammates. And you're going to war with them every day in practice, every game. So that was something that the other schools I was applying to didn't have. They were much smaller, and Marist isn't even big. It's 6,000 kids, maybe 8,000, but only on campus. So we were living off campus in these houses with our teammates, and it was a great time. I was able to enjoy my life socially as well, instead of I was playing at a higher level. Wouldn't have as much time to go out. When you're in season, that's all you're doing, really. You're just playing hockey, which I love, but at the same time, you got to experience other things in college.
Yeah. This first time, so like, I don't want to ask him, but I gotta ask him, like, any drawbacks, anything that, like, a type of school like Marist, like 6,000 to 8,000, or this is this mid D1 or lower D1, you would say?
Yeah, lower D1.
Lower D1. Yep. So any drawbacks or anything, like, I wonder how that would be, like, if someone's thinking about it. And then 100%, you already mentioned off a lot of great things, the camaraderie with the team, with the campus, also the area it's in, like, I think that's a big factor too, not just your campus, like, look around the area too. But yeah, any drawbacks?
So even, however many, I wish I knew for sure, but say 8,000 people, it felt so small by my senior year, and felt like I knew everyone. I was always seeing the same people. So when you have girlfriends that go south, you can't get away from them. And luckily, it didn't have anything terrible, but same time, you're seeing the same people every single weekend.
Your business is out there.
Yeah.
Call it like it is. Your business is out there, whether girlfriends, boyfriends, guy friends, like studies, your interest, your whatever it is, like, your business is out there. 100%. And so just know that.
Absolutely. And it's going to be the same thing any school, probably honestly below 10,000. At least if you only have a few options.
It's interesting you say that. I went to a school that had 2,000, right?
Yeah.
So you can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
So Nick says it's at the 8,000 mark. We'll see. Maybe I'll speak with someone and ask that question who went to, like, a 40,000 like Prince's school, and if they say it feels small, then all right, then everything feels small. But that's something. Yeah, that's something to think about.
Do you feel like you experienced that similar thing?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
It was. You knew everyone. Which you bring up girls, and yeah, like, sometimes before I even spoke to you or someone, like, you kind of already knew the person, and that was like, you don't get to dig in. Like, I didn't even know you had a sister, right? And that we just found out here. If I was at Marist, I probably wouldn't know your sister. You know what I mean? Like, I would already know everything. And it's like, so that's the thing. That's one of the things I love with New York, is that you never know who you'll meet. But then you do build relationships, and you have your core, and that's so important. You know how important the team was for you in a place like where people know your business. Like, people will have judgments when they know your business. So, but what about your team? Like, the people who actually like spend some real time with you. It's good to have those friends, that house to, like, go back to.
And that's got to be the best thing that came out of it. That family that we had, that we were playing with. And that's one of the greatest things about sports to me, but I think hockey in particular, it's not an easy game. You are battling with those guys every week, and I'm still so close with the guys that I played with. I live with one of my old teammates, and I still see the others every single weekend.
If you want, shout them out, but that's awesome, man.
Yeah, they're too many. They know who they are, but we got a good family for sure.
Awesome, man. One thing you talked about in the beginning, I don't want to forget, you mentioned that pond. Any cool stories about that pond? Like,
oh my God. So I got so many, but like I said, the big hockey culture where I grew up. So, player that's on the Rangers right now, Jimmy Vesey, was walking home from school, and this is right after he won the World Juniors, which is a under 20 tournament for best players in the world. Each country has a team, and he had just won the World Juniors. I think his 20-year-old year where he's still playing at Harvard. And walking home from school with my friends, he's on the pond. I think Casey Fitzgerald was out there with him, another guy from our town. Vesey's from our town as well. They're on the pond on the street right after winning the World Juniors.
This pond needs its own little sitcom.
So always amazing players out there. But in the winter, I would, right when it started to get cold, I'd be out there poking it with sticks, throwing rocks at it, seeing if it was frozen. And definitely fell in a handful of times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was probably at least, there's definitely a span where I was going in once a year and maybe once every other year as I got older. But I was just so eager to get out there. And it's maybe the best story. Most of it was frozen, where we had been skating on it all morning. But I started to step on a spot that I guess wasn't frozen. So I fell into my waist. Luckily, I got my phone in my jacket pocket. That did get frozen. But all my friends are already out there playing. So I didn't go home. And 30 minutes later, my pants are like pads. They're rock solid from the water.
Yeah.
And just stayed out there probably for hours, just still having fun. It didn't matter to me how cold I was. And even that my pants were frozen. Just out there having fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So now you're at Equinox, you're at Chelsea Piers, you're coaching teams individually. Let's dig in. What have been some tough moments for you?
Okay, so definitely moving to the city at 22 years old. And I wasn't sure that I was coaching hockey at the time. I just had Equinox. And I had this written down years ago. So I had been saving up. I'd worked so hard when I'd be home on breaks to save up enough money. I was training clients in the morning, working at a restaurant at night. Just, I needed to make this happen. And I did. And I was proud of myself. But then I came here and you know, when you start off at a big gym like Equinox, it's not the easiest. And you got to build up those clients and get stuff going for yourself. In life, no one's just going to hand you things.
Yeah.
So just having to work through that, and the money was very tight for a while. I was so worried. But ended up getting the clients up a little bit. But hockey was a huge thing where I was able to kind of support myself just through that until the gym really started picking up. Because started coaching my own team. Then I picked up a off-ice slot working with the U16 team. Then I started working with the Learn to Play program. Then I started working with the MITE program, which is 8-year-olds and under. So that was a great opportunity. One, fell in love with it. I've been in love with the game my whole life, but fall in love with coaching as well was awesome. And great for me financially as well, because I wouldn't have been able to do this just working at Equinox, or else maybe I would have, but my days would look a lot different. And I think those first 3-4 months were definitely the toughest, getting my feet on the ground, feeling comfortable that I know that I'm going to be able to pay my rent that month was just, that was tough for sure. But past that now, got a good flow going. And
what was the mindset there? Like, what would you tell people that maybe, they come from a different state? Like, New York is such a place where people come from all over, like, they want to start it here. And you said it wasn't easy building that business at Equinox or whatever gym you're at, or whatever profession, building that business, like, and money is tight in the beginning. What gave you confidence to keep going? What were your thoughts? What would you say, like, hey guys, this means you're on the right path? Like, because I think you feel right now like you're on the right path.
Absolutely.
Like, maybe you're not like there, but like you're like, dude, I'm things are happening.
Yeah. So for me, it's never an option to fail. You're gonna fail in life regardless of what you do, but not making it here was never an option. I'd do whatever it took.
Back on it. It stopped recording. It's actually 8:48, and we gotta get back to work at 9. But Nick was just talking about how, that sticking with it when you're building your business. And then I got one more question for Nick.
All right, so whatever you're doing, if you have a goal in mind, you got to stay with it. And so many people will tell you, have a plan, stick to that plan, so step by step. And so regardless of what your goal is, what the job you're doing is, you're going to experience setbacks. It's going to happen. Nothing's going to come easy. If it was, everyone would do it. And I like to say nothing easy is worthwhile. I firmly believe that. And so I didn't actually think it was going to be easy, but I thought it was going to be easier than it was. And it was just not giving myself the option to fail. I didn't really have anything to fall back on unless I just give up being in the city and I move home and live with my parents and do the same, work at the same gym, work at the same restaurants that I was working at for the past 5 years, and I didn't want to fall back into that. So it was just knowing that I had to make it work one way or another, and at the end of the day, just put your head down and work. That's what it comes down to. Whether you're trying to play a sport or trying to make a career, you could make all the excuses in the world, but if you don't put in the work, you're going nowhere.
Man, almost like you're answering my next question. I'm going to ask you, like the sun. What's your pillar, like, to rise up, get up, be up? Like, if there's something holding you down, like, what's something that helps you be up?
Like, it's not an option for me to not be up every morning. And it's funny you ask that, because with this job and then also coaching hockey, I got a lot of early games on the weekends, and I try to still have a balanced life. So young in New York City, my friends, we're going out and we're drinking on the weekends, and I'm getting sometimes 3 hours of sleep, waking up, going to coach hockey or work with a client. And I get asked all the time, how do you do this? I could never do that. And it's not even an option for me, not an option at all. I'm waking up regardless because I gotta work. I gotta go to work, but it also helps that I love what I'm doing. I wouldn't have it any other way.
It's big. It's big, dude.
Thank you so much for having
awesome. Thank you for tuning in, listening. I'm sure if you have any questions, Nick is open to that. Leave them in the comments. I'll leave his social and everything on there. Hey, rise like the sun. You heard it here. Have a great day.